Hello. I just wanted to go ahead and share something that I've been sitting on for over a week, and I will do another video to clarify this, because I'm sure I will forget a few things and need to clarify a few things and want to review a few things, revisit and whatnot. So anyways, about a week ago, over a week ago probably, it's more likely, over a week ago, I had a dream. I had a visitation within the dream state of who I believe to be Elisa Lam from the Cecil Hotel. Basically what happened, and I did not know of this case. I had not known. I just did not know of this case. And I had a really weird dream that stayed with me for a while. Now this dream, in it, okay. Hopefully this video won't be too disjointed, but again, that's why I'm going to do another video, because sometimes I get disjointed, obviously, so bear with me. So in this dream, I remember it was very intense, and it was very, very dark. I was in a dark, what I thought at the time was a cave. I honestly thought it was like some kind of dark cave with no light. There was definitely water. There was water, and I was floating in it with another girl, another woman. Basically, what I remember that was very intense was as we were floating in this water, it was very dark. The water was pitch black. The room, cave that I thought, well, now it was, I know it was a room, was pitch black. And up above us, watching, not saying anything, just watching and waiting, was out of this dark, because it was a little different from the darkness of the room. It was kind of like a void of darkness, like a portal, but it was like dark, kind of hazy, but dark. And out of this darkness, there was some entity or being or spirit that was in the shape of a skull type of shape. It was a skull image, and it was just waiting and watching as me and the other female in this dream were in the water. Now, one of the most intense parts of this dream, I remember, is that the female that I was with she had like the beginning of decay in her mouth, like right on the side of her mouth. So that was disturbing. And I remember knowing, and telepathically communicating, or an understanding that we shared, is that she could no longer live in this realm. That she was going to have to, we would have to utilize the water. We were going to have to go into the water, use the water as a portal, a conduit into this, like a vehicle into the other dimension, in order for her to live in this other world. Now, you can take that as meaning like she would have to drown, or she would have to die in order to, that could be one interpretation, a pretty clear interpretation, that she would have to die in order to live in, or go into this other dimension, or that she would be going into this portal, or both at the same time. But anyways, that was the understanding, and I remember that in the dream, and I was communicating to her, comforting her. And the weird thing was that she was obviously having the decay on the side of him, kind of like a green, kind of black kind of growth. Anyways, but she was still somewhat alive. Now, in reality, she probably wouldn't be alive if that was happening, but in the dream, like, there was still some kind of consciousness there that I was communicating to, trying to help take her in, swim deeper, or, again, utilize that water into a portal. Again, as this being was watching from above, just watching, just waiting. So that's the dream I had. And later, 2 days later, at most 2 days later, I was watching a Beyond the Veil episode where they talked about this, and I had not known that this had happened. At this time in my life, I would not have had really great internet, and I wouldn't have not have known about this. I didn't really have TV at the point. So anyways, I didn't know about this case. And it's interesting that recently, because I have done my homework since and I found a lot about the case, that recently the Cecil Hotel has been more in the, in the limelight. People know about the case, so maybe that is in the collective consciousness and was able to tap into that, but also tap into her spirit as well, which I'm wondering. I'm very honored that she chose me to communicate through with this message. I don't know if it's just a clarification, just really driving home the belief that there is an entity there. That when we look at the footage of the elevator, and people say that she was on medication, and sometimes medication can mess with your mind, and also going off medication can also mess with your mind if you become adapted to that medication. There's a lot of things around psychological medication that is interesting. You are accessing the mind in different ways, and also she might just also just been open to the other side, where we see her interacting in the elevator, again with a hotel with a very interesting and dark past. We see that she was interacting with something. We might not be able to see it, but she was. The other side, you don't really see the other side unless you're in an altered state. So she was in an altered state enough to see the other side, which maybe something led her to the water tower, which again would have been in the dark, pitch black room, which was circular. Again, the room was circular, that I was in, and the space above was circular, watching from above. So the entity and whatnot. But anyways, so maybe in this altered state, something led her, pulled her, got her to go in as some kind of sacrifice or something, or some kind of feeding this entity life force. Maybe she was murdered, although it was very interesting. Someone would have to drag her up there. If you look at what had to have been done to do that, I don't know. Maybe she was spiritually led to do that. And maybe someone did murder her. Maybe it was a murder slash, what do you call it? Sacrifice. It could have been both at the same time. But again, there is an entity in the dream, at least that I saw, that was connected, just waiting and watching, waiting. There was no communication with the deity, or entity, or being. It was just waiting. Again, it was a skull shaped in it. So the ideas of death, obviously something associated with death. And that is what I experienced. And interestingly enough, in my homework, after watching Beyond the Veil and then mentioning this, and I was just taken away because this dream stayed with me. Because obviously I was, floating in water with a dead girl, taking her to another place. And, 2 days later, I find out that this was an actual case. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like what I was experiencing. And then so I looked into it, and yeah. So I really do think that there was some kind of communication with her. Again, I want to do another video on this, but I don't know. I don't know why she communicated, if she's just out there, communicating with people, certain people, letting them know what's going on. Again, I don't know. There's not much I can really say other than, I was really, I kind of speechless almost. I don't know. I mean, I know that, you can tap into things in the dream state, the in-between dream states, you can go into these different worlds and realms when you're sleeping, and maybe there was just enough resonation with me and her spirit that we were able to communicate together. She was able to communicate to me. I've never worked with any kind of ghost stuff. I've never worked with any spirits of the dead. I usually work with entities and stuff like that sort of thing, archetypes, entities, goddesses, you know, that sort of thing. Although I have been recently, within the last year or so, you know, vaguely and I don't know what the word is, because I've been working with Hecate, but again, it hasn't been super full-on intense working with her. Although she has called to me over, now I know that she's been calling to me for a very long time, seeing the signs, not quite knowing who it was, and now I know. Recently, I also had a dream connected to her in one of her other goddess forms, and also associated with angels. But I'll get into that in another video. I don't want to. But maybe there's a new opening up to this other side of the spirits of the deceased. Because right now, the only spirits besides her that I knowingly know that are spirits contacting me have been my cats, my deceased cats. I haven't really, I mean, maybe there are other spirits that I have dreamed about that are actually spirits of people, but I just don't know about them because I haven't learned about their cases. The interesting thing is that I was just so fixated on this, and then it came to me 2 days later. So I know it was important, and I knew I had to share it, maybe because I know a lot of people are really looking into this case. And I would say that this is clarification in at least a subjective, other realm, otherworldly kind of communication way, that there is an entity there, and that it is attached to the spirits of that hotel, which would make sense. Just even the energy that's been created with all the deaths there would have a lasting effect on the place. And the drug use and the crime and the murder and everything there, all feeding into some kind of entity. Don't know who that entity is, what type of entity. Obviously, it's associated. There's death there. There is that death element to that. But anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and do another video, like I said, clarifying this, because I'm sure I missed a lot. I am interested in working with, like, ghost spirit technology. I haven't done that yet. I'm just looking into it now because I'm now very curious about it. But dreaming for me seems right now to be a method for communication, trance work, whatnot. That's usually the kind of thing that I do. Again, I just wanted to share this. This is just in the spirit of sharing for people who are interested in her case, interested in her spirit. That's just what I got. And right now I'm just looking more into the case, and anything else that I find. I just think that the similarities between her death and my experience with her and what I was communicating to her really coincide. And the fact that I found out so soon about the case that I had no knowledge about. Okay, and there is also the interesting fact that there was a movie that was very close to the concept of what happened there, different but very close, that was made years and years before, called Dark Water, which, interestingly enough, when I was in the dream, the water, again, was very dark, and I know that really stayed with me. It's black water, and basically, obviously, because it was pitch black in there, the water would have been dark, but it was just something that stayed with me. So there's that interesting connection there. But anyways, I'd just like to say that I'm very honored that she chose to communicate with me, that she chose to share that moment in time with me. Hopefully, at some point, her spirit can find some peace and some rest. And hopefully, maybe one day, the spirits of the Cecil Hotel will be able to find some rest and move on from the darkness and the things that are confining them there. So anyways, I just wanted to share that, and, you know, until next time, I will share more things. I know I haven't been sharing a lot lately, but that will change. And, yeah, again, I'm very honored and really awestruck at the same time. So I'll share more in the future.